This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, hello to everyone, and welcome to this week's fabulous edition that will lead to your author success within the AuthorU-Your Guide to Book Publishing podcast. And as you listen, along with my guest and myself, you will get a variety of ahas, insights, tips, and certainly how-tos for your author and publishing and book marketing success. And back again, Marilyn Heywood Paige was with us not too long ago when we talked about really the intricacies, the steps, the essentialness, the truthiness of all about your branding. And one of the things that the branding has to go to is absolutely your website. So our focus today with book marketing website developer expert Marilyn Paige Heywood is exactly that. She has over 30 years of experience in marketing. She was a CRM, which stands for Community Relations Manager, with the Barnes & Noble store chain. And if you don't know about this person, you need to find them out. Find out who the CRM, which is what they're known as in any store, ask who the contact is, because they're the ones that make it possible for book signings, for book events, for a variety of things. And they will truly be your best friend if bookstores are in your sphere and you want to work with them. Marilyn, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so pleased that you had me back. And I'm so glad they still have CRMs.
Me too. And I miss Nancy. She was just so great. In fact, she would call and say, Judith, you need to go and work with this store up in, we're talking about the Denver community, but she says, you need to get up to this store. And here's the contact and get your group of authors up there and just, do events. So we had a great time doing that kind of thing. Great. So she was terrific. Well, websites, and Marilyn, let's give everybody your website so they know how to reach out to you.
Sure, it's MarilynPaige.com.
All right, Marilyn Paige, and by the way, Paige is spelled Paige, with the E on it.com. So MarilynPaige.com. And you can find out all the goodies that she could do for you and your author success. So with that, let's jump into author websites. And that before we get into some of the real intricacies, you've been around for a long time seeing things in the marketing. And I suspect there is more than one website you have gone to and the, oh my God, smacks you in your face. And sometimes the oh my God could be, oh, this is stunning, or it could be, holy moly, shut this baby down. Okay, so let's let's talk about the holy moly one first.
Me, because I've done so many websites, of course I have bias, and so when I see a really good website, I am bowled over because they're so rare. And when I find really good website writing, I try and track down who wrote that, because that's even more rare. A website that has been designed for the user. Now, I'm talking about small business websites. In large companies, and there are some large companies that have some terrible websites, but in general, larger companies have figured it out, and they generally don't make the same mistakes that small and mid-sized companies do. Mm-hmm. And authors and people, solopreneur kinds of folks.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that stands out for me and what I always tell my clients is that this isn't about money. This is about smarts. Because you can have a lot of money and still make a really bad website. You need to understand some very fundamental things about building websites to make a great website. And it doesn't matter if you have $1,000 or $100,000 to build a website. There are some fundamental things that you need to accomplish. And in general, it just takes smarts, not as much money. Of course, the more money you have, yeah, you can have more bells and whistles. But bottom line is, the website is not about you.
Mm-hmm. I think
It's
that's
about
so
your
essential.
customer.
Yeah, it's so essential that you say that. It just really loops lovely back to the show that we first ran at the beginning of December, which was about the branding of you. And the branding, and one of those critical elements is who are you writing for? So who's your website for? And it's not about you. It's about the visitor
Right.
who's coming there and is looking for stuff.
That's right. That's right. And when you're an author and you're book proud and you're, kind of sowing your seeds and you're trying to get out there, many first-time authors or new authors make the mistake to think that it's about them. And that's understandable. You're feeling your way. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to say, okay, I'm an author, and that's scary. And so a lot of people will make the mistake of making the website all about themselves. And the only person that's going to care about that is your mom. That's the only person who's going to love that website. So what I want to do is to teach you some basic things to do and to think about before you build your website. And the first thing I want to talk about is choosing a platform. We're going to go all the way back there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've made this mistake, and I want to save you from my idiocy. Before you choose a platform, and there's so many, right? WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy, what should I do? The first question you need to answer is, what functionality do you require? Do you need to have a shopping cart? Do people need to be able to buy things on your website? Do you need to have message boards where you're going to interact with people? Do you need to have a login where members, you're selling some kind of membership? So are people going to need to log in to your website, to a special section for them? You need to really understand what is the functionality that you need today and what are you dreaming of, right? So let's say, right now I'm writing books, but eventually I want to be teaching courses based on my books. So you might want to think about, okay, if I build a website today in this platform, will this platform support the courses that I want to build and the videos and the interactive elements that I'm going to need? There's going to be quizzes and things like that. So you want to at least have an understanding of what you need now and what you're going to need in 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to build on a platform that you're not going to have to rebuild. That's where I'm going, because it's kind of a nightmare when you start and you go, oh, well, I just need something. I just need a website up. And you go, okay, great, I got this thing and it's up. And then as you develop and you have more books and you have audience and you've got newsletters and you've got all these other things going that you didn't anticipate, you figured, yeah, down the line, yeah, I'm going to do a newsletter. I'm going to do a course. I'm going to do an interactive kind of a Facebooky kind of a thing. You know that that's your dream. Well, it's smart to just build on the platform that can support that eventually. Because moving a website, rebuilding a website is a major pain in the butt, and it's expensive. So solve a lot of problems right now and pick the right platform.
And so what when you're determining what platform for you is, and I think that you're absolutely right. What's the functionality is essential, and a lot of I think that one of the key things is I think you need to have a platform that will allow for some growth to it, and that because if it's such a stuck in the mud, for whatever another phrase. But if it's stuck, and there is the widgets are not there to support it. If it doesn't have a good SEO component. See, one of the functionalities for me is it has to have the capability that can shoot out and announce for the SEO side of it. Is that, and I would suspect a newbie author wouldn't even think about that.
Correct. So let me just say this for any newbie author, for anyone who is dabbling, doesn't really know about websites. Websites are about SEO. No one will find you if your website is not search engine optimized. And I have worked with companies, like well-established, decade-old companies that tore down websites that were search engine optimized to build something that was pretty, that was not search engine optimized, and they just ruined, decades of optimization. I mean, it's you have a website that talks to people. That is the forward, front-facing side of your website, is what I can go and log in and look and read and see. That's the viewer. But Google needs to also be able to read your website. And there is a particular, let's call it a language, there's a particular language and style that is needed, and that's called SEO, search engine optimization, that tells Google, hey, Google, guess what's here? Hey, Google, this is what's here. This is who's here. This is what you'll find here. This is what's important here. This is why this matters. There's all these things going on behind the scenes of your website that are these little tags or these little call-outs to Google bots that say, hey, come over here. This is important. And if you don't
Marilyn,
have those little things...
Marilyn, hold on that thought. We need to take our first break, and then we'll come back on Google. Pay attention. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you? Or another? AuthorU shows you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you will find a supportive and brainstorming community that is connected and creative, no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual AuthorU extravaganza. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. AuthorU is the premier authoring resource in the country, creating community, education, guidance, vision, and success for the serious author. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. Timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted on its social media platforms, and it is free. Discover AuthorU, where authors go to become seriously successful. Join AuthorU today at AuthorU.org.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so as we took this first break, Marilyn was kissing the Google gods and how important they are. And understand that Google is the number one search engine. You have to play the game, and you have to understand the power of what Google can do and bring to you in this process. So, Marilyn, I'm going to throw it back to you, and it ties into, this is fundamental stuff, understanding the SEO and why it's so important.
So I'm not going to, make you an SEO expert, and I'm not even going to suggest that you become an SEO expert. Here's what you need to know about search engine optimization. It is critical to your website. It is critical to people being able to find you. Google's job is to find great stuff when people ask for it. Google wants to give the searcher the most relevant answer to their question. Hey, Google, I want a book about murderers in Nebraska. Google is going to pull up the most relevant websites and information to that question. So I'm going to touch on this in a minute when we talk about messaging. What you want to do is make your website readable to Google and to what it's trying to do. It wants to serve its customers. So when you serve Google's customers, it likes you. It favors you. And that's where you get into all their algorithms. And again, I'm not going to get into a whole SEO because that's a big topic, but you just need to know this. It's critical, and your website needs to be search engine optimized. Okay. The next question you need to answer when you are talking about choosing a platform is who will maintain this platform? Are you maintaining it? Are you paying someone to maintain it? Is someone, a friend of yours, doing it for free? How is this website going to be maintained? Because it's not one of those set it and forget it. If you set it and forget it, Google will forget it too. So you need to know, you got to have a plan of who's going to maintain this. And if you are someone that is very tech averse, you're not going to want a real complicated website to maintain. It's just going to frustrate you. You're probably going to break the website, and it's not going to serve you. You need a website that you can maintain, whether that's you're doing it yourself or you're paying someone to do it or you're asking a friend to do it. So these are the things you need to think about and answer before you choose a platform. The third thing I want you to answer is, how much money do you have to maintain it? If the answer is zero, that means you're probably doing it yourself, and that means you need to know exactly how tech savvy you are. If you are very comfortable with technology, have at it. Build it, put it in HTML, code it, whatever, WordPress, Java, whatever. If you're not, then you want to look for platforms that are extremely easy to drag and drop and edit. You don't want a situation where every time you want to update your website, you're stuck. It's intimidating. You hate it. I have to go log on and figure this out again. You don't want that. That's a nightmare. You want something that you go, oh, I get to go upgrade my website again. This is awesome. That's how you want to feel about it. So when you choose a platform, that's what you're looking for. Here's another thing that I have learned. Don't start building on a free platform until you know exactly what everything costs and if they have the functionality you require. So you can start. Everyone will give you a free one. There's any one of these website builders will give you a free website. And the reason is because they want you to start building on their website. And so that you've put hours and hours of time in you and you've got something up that to move it now is a real pain in the butt, and you're not going to move it because I'll just leave it here. So you want to make sure that whatever that platform is, that it has the functionality that you require. If that platform doesn't have a shopping cart that you can add in at some point, and at some point I'm going to want to sell books, straight from my website, then that's not the right platform to start on. If eventually I'm going to want a login community. I'm going to want people who can log in and find curated content that they pay for. And that website that you're building on doesn't have that functionality. Don't start on that platform because moving it later is going to be a pain. And here's another pro tip. If they tell you that functionality is coming, don't believe it. Not saying that they're liars. They may not be liars. They may be absolutely credible. but you don't know that they're going to build that functionality when you need it. So if they don't have that functionality now, walk away. Are there added expenses? So Wix, I think Wix is a fantastic platform. It's very powerful, but everything you add on is more money. If you want a calendar to do appointments, if someone I want people to be able to go on my website and log in and make an appointment with me and pay for the appointment, great, you can do that on Wix. It's going to cost you more money. Everything you do costs you more money on Wix. Very powerful. It is very effective. But if you're someone on a really limited budget and you want to say, okay, like I got this much money and that's it, Wix may not be the right choice for you. Wix, however, is very, very easy. So, you need to do your homework and shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing, like, for example, Wix, which has become very popular in the last few years, is totally an a la carte. So
yes.
the simpler you are, it may work just fine for you. But if you're complex and you have a lot going on, it could become very expensive. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yes. And there's so many website builders now. There's so many that there's just no reason to not find the perfect one for you. It's just, you just got to do your homework. That's all. And if you're like, it's just taking too long, trust me, whatever time you put in now will be nothing compared to the time you will put in if you choose it incorrectly. So pay now or pay later.
Yeah, boy,
and I've learned this the hard way. I have done it and learned it the hard way.
I think we're just coming up to our next break, but I think one of the things that's really important is to understand how much do you, author, want to do all this stuff yourself, or how much do you want to defer out to have someone else? Because now we're talking about you have to build a budget to have this done, correct?
Correct.
All right. So with that said, so think about this. Are you a DIYer, or are you someone who is a compromise or bring it together? We'll answer that when you come back here in a few minutes. And this is Judith Briles. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Discover the power of you and your book at the Judith Briles Unplugged events. Each summer, Judith Briles Book Marketing Unplugged unfolds over 3 intensive days working with just Judith. You get publishing strategies, author and book platforms, book marketing panache and pizzazz, and authoring tools to take you and your book to rock star success. In the fall and winter, Judith Briles Speaking Unplugged includes Judith as your coach and mentor during 2 powerful days. You will learn how to structure a speech, how to create openings and closings, how to find gigs that pay you and sell your books, and you will get one-on-one coaching. Go to thebookshepherd.com and click on the Events tab to learn how to participate at the next Unplugged Workshop event.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we are deep in the heart of really putting together the website that reflects you, who you are, what you're about, your products, which are your books, and anything else that you're doing. And a product could be speaking, by the way. It could be a training workshop. It could be part of your consulting. All these kind of goodies that you can receive some type of remuneration for. So it's making sure that your website is adaptable to where you are currently now, and also some little futurisms to it. Marilyn, I do have a question on websites. How often should they have a makeover? I mean, you know, things do change.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
That is an excellent question. So there's two ways to look at this. So you should have a makeover if your site is just plain dated, if it looks and functions in a dated way. If you are going to other, look at the best in your field. Okay, so the best authors in your field, look at their websites. How do they look? If your website looks really dated by comparison, it's time to upgrade that. If the functionality, if it's just not working anymore, it's time to upgrade it. If you have changed your audience, your brand, your messaging, might be time to upgrade it. That's my answer to that.
Mm-hmm. So message changing. If your competitors are just, they look different from you, and so you're still wearing your poodle skirt, it's not going to work.
And really look at it on mobile. You know, look at your site on mobile and tablets. If it doesn't look right, if it doesn't function easily on mobile and tablets, you definitely need to upgrade it.
Mm-hmm. And they all should be mobile compatible. That's just so essential. So many people are on that. Although, you know, Marilyn, I was looking at stats not too long ago of what are the most popular search engines, and Chrome still is at 67%.
Yep.
So you've got to make sure, you know, I would be starting there before you go into some of these other fancier guys on doing that, because, and there's several out there, but you really need to be with the crowd here. And then you can certainly, there are other adaptables that you bring into play,
sure.
But that's how I remember working with a developer with another client that she was working on this, and I'm saying, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I was having a hard time seeing what you were seeing. So important.
Yeah, now you get into how does the website look on different browsers, and that's a whole complicated thing. But, yeah.
It's very complex. But for all of you, Chrome is the gorilla in the sky.
Yep.
Of what people are using, at least in you know, right now, here today in the year of 2021, 2022.
And who knows what it'll be, you know, next year, the year after. Yeah, it always changes, for sure.
Exactly. Okay, so where do we go from here?
Design. I want to talk a little bit about the design of your website. So, design and imagery provide the user's unconscious mind with signals of trust. So how it looks, the visuals, will tell the user whether they can trust you or not. And it happens in seconds, milliseconds. And you do it all the time. Every time you jump on a website, you are taking in, your unconscious is taking in that information, even if consciously you're not aware of it. Your unconscious is making judgments as to whether this website, this person, this experience is trustworthy. It's doing it all the time. So what you want to do is give the unconscious signals of trust with colors, white space, imagery, and best practices of UX design. Because we are all so media savvy now, and we all go to dozens of websites every day, there are certain things that we have unconsciously, absorbed and learned about the web and about websites that we're not even aware of. There's certain things that we do, that we see, that we judge without really being aware of. But if you, as the designer of that website, are not aware of those trust signals, you're going to violate them. So the first thing is consistency. You want a website that has consistency from page to page. When a website has, these three colors on the home page, and then you go to an internal page and there's three totally different colors, you go, am I on the same website? What happened? Did I go to a different
exactly.
website?
Yes.
So that's a trust issue, right? So consistency. Is there are the same elements in the same places? Are the elements in places where you expect them to be? One of the examples I'll give is vertical navigation. Looks super cool, really untrustworthy, because it's jarring.
Okay, so
it's
just describe to our listeners vertical navigation.
Oh, okay. So you have navigation. These are the little buttons that you click to go to the pages you want to go to, right? So that on the top, usually on the top,
usually they're horizontal.
Is the navigation.
Yeah, usually horizontal.
Yeah,
horizontal
on the top of the page. But some people will say, I want my website to be really slick. Now, I'm not going to tell you they never, never, ever, 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 because there's always exceptions to the rule. There's designers, there's different people where a vertical navigation down the right or left side of the screen makes sense. And, that works. Most times it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because your audience is thrown by it. They expect navigation to be top right. If you violate that, you've interrupted their very safe little bubble of, I'm going to go to this website. I'm going to find what I want. Wait, I can't go to the top right. Wait, where am I going? Now you've interrupted that. You've given them a reason to go, wait a minute. What? You've given them a reason to not trust you. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There are instances where it is appropriate, but very few. Okay. Mm-hmm. The next thing I want to say is white space. Do not bombard someone, because what happens is you get excited, you get enthusiastic. You're like, I want them to know this. I want them to come to my website. I want them to see this and this and this, and I want them to know I can do this and they can do this. Hold on. They need room to breathe. Their eye gets overwhelmed. If you overwhelm someone's eyes, they will bounce. You want to give them pause and pace. You want to give their eyes a rest. You want someone to come to your website and go, okay. You don't want them to come to your website and go, I'm scared. I'm confused. So you need to give them white space so that their eye knows where to land. And that comes from knowing what is most important in your information, and I will get to that. Best practices of UX design. Google it, read what you find, and don't violate those rules. It's too much for me to go into UX design, and that's a big rabbit hole, but there's kind of big areas of UX design that you need to understand. And again, this comes down to, are you designing it or someone else designing it? So just understand the big picture so that if you are paying someone to design it, you know the major things that they need to be doing. Put things where people expect them. People expect the contact to be on the top right. Don't make them look for it. Create clear pathways and buttons and form fills. So when someone comes to your website, they need to have a clear pathway to achieve their objective. So if they come to your website to read something, make it easy for them to read it. To find some information, make it easy for them to find it. To find you, to contact you, make it easy for them to do that. Create clear pathways, and the fewer clicks, the better. Align your design choices to your brand.
I have to say this. I love that you said people expect to see the contact on the in the upper right, and I can't tell you how many times I've said that. And I tell people, if you're going to make me hunt, if I have to hunt how to find you, to call you, to email you, to do whatever I'm trying to do. Let me tell you, here's what you're going to find. It's called delete. That's where I come from.
Yeah, that's right. If only your mother would have the patience, it's not designed correctly. If only your mother would have the patience to find you, then it's just not designed correctly. So I want to talk about aligning your design choices to your brand whenever possible.
Great.
So last
I love that
segment we talked about brand and how to actualize your brand. And your logo colors, we talked about colors. So your logo colors should work well on a website. Now, I've done this. I've made this mistake many times, so please learn from my mistakes. I will, I'll have a designer design a fantastic website, and the colors are awesome, and they look great on T-shirts, and they look great in print. And then we go to design the website, and those colors look garish on a website. They are awful. And so now you go, oh, wow. This website is not going to match the colors of the logo. Or you need to, if hopefully you're doing this from scratch, when you are designing your logo and you're choosing your colors, look at those colors in a website template. Because some of the colors, I've done it many times, the colors that are just beautiful, they sting. They're so gorgeous. I've got 3 to 5 colors that complement each other, that ignite the brand and really signal and align with the brand values, and they're fabulous. And then I put them on a website, and oh, that is awful. So when you are choosing your logo colors, your brand colors, check them out on a website. Make sure they work on the website. And then adjust those choices to what works on the website. Your logo.
I think it's important. Let me add on colors. I think it's important for all of you to recognize that your colors can alter on different monitors. So know what your codes are. One of the things I'd suggest that whatever your color codes are, get those and put them into somewhere on your contacts so people know where they are. With that said, we're going to take our final break. With us is Marilyn Paige, and we're talking the power of your website.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Are you confused about publishing options? Do you know which printing option is best for your book? Does your stomach flip when you think about selling books? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what to do about book marketing and publicity? Get the answers and much more. Get them and from someone who knows publishing inside and out from both the traditional and independent sides, how to make a successful book. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand and platform, and is a success, a bestseller. It is your choice. You choose. If you want author and publishing success, you want Judith Briles as your book coach. Sign up for her weekly blogs and e-zine at thebookshepherd.com. The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and guide to collaborate with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You do not need more problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and chaos. At times, she has had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, by a publishing service provider, and sometimes even by the author. If you want author and book success, connect with her today at thebookshepherd.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right. So in our final segment, and I'm so glad Marilyn opened up the window. And again, that's Marilyn Heywood Paige. Her website is marilynpaige.com, and Paige is spelled Paige. She is a marketing expert. She is a website expert, and that's tied in with her 30 years of working in this area. And your website, all of you need to understand that it is a key component. It's part of the infrastructure to anything you do and as you marketing and going out to, because one of the things that you want to do, dear listener, is to drive people back to your website. You want to drive them back to your website so it developed that trust factor that Marilyn was talking about, how it develops. Right. And that trust factor is developed. It starts the moment they click on your website. The moment they click on that website. And Marilyn, maybe you can tell me, I don't know what the latest stats are, how long do people stay on a website?
Before they decide that they can find what they want? I think it's now
find
like
what they want.
It's 3 seconds, 4 seconds, something like that.
Yeah. Or they're out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah,
so you don't have much
changing.
time here. Yeah.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the quick and dirty here, because I want you to get this information. You need to develop an information hierarchy, and that starts with the header. Your header must have your company name, your social media buttons, a phone number or click to call, and then here's one: some button CTA, some call to action in the header, whether it's purchase, watch, download, call, but in that header. So when someone arrives, top right, here's something they can do. They can find you, they can download something, they can watch something, they can purchase something right there. Eliminate your home button. Take it out. Get rid of it. Your logo is your home button. That's it. Do not waste the space with a little thing that says home. As an author, your navigation should have a tab that says books, a tab that's media, appearances or speaking, a blog, an about, and the last thing on the right is the contact us. Don't put the contact anywhere else. It is the last thing on the right side of the navigation, because that's where people expect it. So don't violate their trust by making them go, it's not there. I don't know where it is. Now I got to look for it. Well, they're probably going to bounce off. Internal pages. Not everyone arrives at your homepage. So they Google a question, and the answer to the question is an internal page on your website, and they click in. If they go to that internal page, are they going to understand where they are? So don't design a website that is just about your homepage. Your homepage tells people, what am I going to get? But so does every internal page. Every internal page should have that header, should have that click CTA, that call to action on the top right. It should be able, if someone comes to an internal page, they should know, what am I going to get? Where have I landed? Remember, again, that your website is not about you. It's about your audience. So you want customer-centric content and design. What do they expect? What do they want? And here's a pro tip. How can you delight them? Yes, any good website will give them information, will get them their objectives. You know, I came to learn this, I came to buy that, I came to find this other piece of information. A good website will get them there quickly. A great website will delight them while they do it. So think about what would delight them. Consistent design on all of the service pages, I'm going to reiterate this, makes people feel comfortable. You want consistency, reliability on the website from page to page so that if they go to one service page, it looks like the next service page. It's very similar to the third service page because it's jarring. If I go to one service page, so here's the one page that's about your first book. Oh, great. What about your next book? And then you go to the next book and, oh my God, it's just completely different. There's completely different colors. It's different fonts. It's a different design. It's jarring. Am I still on the same website? Consistency. Put things where people expect. I wanted to reiterate that. If people expect a call to action, give it to them. If they expect a contact button, give it to them. If they expect a form fill, give it to them. If they expect a map, give it to them. Don't try to be too slick. Well, I want my website to be really cool and slick, and I want it to be something no one's ever seen before. Unless you are a website designer or an artist, I don't suggest doing that. You want it to be consistent. You want it to build trust. You want people to be able to find what they're looking for quickly and delight them. Delight them with imagery. Delight them with white space. Delight them with messaging that's about them and what they're going to get. And the way you do that effectively is by knowing your audience. Who are your readers? Who are the obvious readers? We talk about this in the Brands podcast. Who are the obvious readers? Who are the not-so-obvious readers? What questions do they have? What would delight them? Would reading a chapter from your book delight them? Would getting a checklist to download? Would taking a quiz? What would delight them? An infographic, an audio, a video, a blog, a white paper, a case study? What would delight them? You want to supply that. That's what you want to give them. And you want to give them a reason to come back. So you want to update your website with blogs, with new content. If you have a mailing list, even better. If they can sign up for a newsletter, and you can say, hey, sign up for my newsletter. I promise I won't spam you or bug you. I'm going to just give you the best stuff that is going to delight you. And you will be able to come back to my website, every month, every quarter, every week, whatever it is, and find something new and compelling and something that will give you value. You want to give people value. And you give them value by understanding who they are and what they want. And that, again, goes back to the brand. And we talked about that in the last podcast. So, again, the biggest thing I want you to take away is the website is not about you. It is about your audience.
So it really does loop back to is you better, everyone, know who your audience is. And everything you do going forward, I love the word that Marilyn used, delight. Everything you do going forward is going to not only feed the Google monster, but it also feeds your fans and followers as they evolve and develop, and they will. And how you do that is with good content and consistency. And that consistency word is so critically important in this process.
Yes.
I mean, really important. So
yes, it is.
We have that.
You can have a fantastic website. Create a world. Create the world that you want your readers to be in. That's what you want on your website.
I love that. Create the world you want your readers to be in. That is fuel and food for thought for all authors. Yeah. All right, so Marilyn, as we wrap up, one more tip, and then we will wrap up.
One more tip, okay. Don't let a website intimidate you. If it's just overwhelming to you, get someone to help you. Because think about how many hours it's going to take you to figure out how to build it, how to maintain it.
Just get someone to help you. I tell my clients this all the time. Why do you think you should be a marketing expert? You are an expert at healthcare, at manufacturing, or whatever it is that their business is. You're an author. You're an expert at writing. You're an expert at writing books. You're an expert at whatever the topic is, at mysteries, at whatever you're writing about. That's your expertise. Why in the world do you think you should be an expert at websites unless you want to be? So that's just, that's my last tip is if you really don't want to be an expert at creating websites, just hire someone to do it and move on.
Exactly. Yeah. And then everyone, I want to add this onto it. If you do, I'm assuming that most people won't be DIYers. They'll be working with people who will come in. They'll be working with people who come in and really know what they're doing. So, but what happens, this is the bad stuff. What happens if they take a sabbatical? What happens if they get hit by the bus? What happens if they become extremely ill? What happens if you decide you don't want to work with this person anymore? What happens? It's absolutely essential. It's absolutely essential for you to have all the contact information tied in with your website, from gadgets and widgets you bought, what the keywords, what the codes are, who owns them, who owns your website. Let's start with that one.
You have to own your website. You do.
You better.
Don't
Exactly.
let anyone else own your URL, your website, your platform, your logins. You never lose control of your login. Never. And also, where are you backing it up? Are you backing it up? So those are essentials. That's part of the fundamentals you really need to do. This is the care and feeding of the website, besides the content you're adding to it, the updates that need to be done. But if something happens, who do you go to? Do you have all the information? And by the way, things do happen. With that, Marilyn Page at MarilynPage.com. Thank you so much for being with us on another episode of the AuthorU, Your Guide to Book Publishing. You are so welcome. And for all of you, thank you for spending your hour with us. Your authoring and publishing success is always up to you. We'll be back with you next week with a whole new show.
Thank you